Like I said, you can put the garnish in whatever order looks most appealing to you. Good morning and welcome back to another day on Boisterous Cock Farmstead. It's been a couple windy days here, and yesterday was probably about as windy as we ever get here. We had gusts and winds up to 40 miles an hour or so. That was on the forecast. I don't have any way of actually measuring the speed of the wind, but what I can tell you is effectively what it does around here. So this is my little pump house shelter. It is open on one side, and what happened was it got blown over by the wind. Well, at least get it in place. It's supposed to rain later today, or hopefully it rains later today. So I'll need to come out here and take care of that, put some screws in that. But because it's going to be crappy weather, I'm actually going to make some soup today, and I figured I would show that recipe off, how I make it, and I mean, obviously you guys won't get a taste test, but hopefully you can make something similar. But first, here's a little fun farm video. So I just thought I'd try to capture some audio of these pigs now that they're used to getting this feed. The only other time that they've been this active and vocal when I'm feeding them is when a local farmer lets me harvest unusable produce, and they know that it's coming. So as I get closer, they should get a little bit more vocal here, so I'll try to get that on camera. So that's the girls. You won't be able to see the boys. You might be able to hear them from here. So you may think that that's a little dangerous, and I agree, it can be dangerous being that close, especially around feeding time with an animal that doesn't really know its own power. I haven't really had any run-ins of them nipping at me or anything like that. If they did, then I would probably change things up. But this, with feeding them the pans, is definitely a better alternative than trying to pour out an even ration from the bucket directly into a pan on the floor or on the ground, because as soon as I start trying to pour stuff out, they're in there pushing their head around and everything like that. And at the worst, or the best case scenario, is I get a bunch of food all over the ground. So that's why I switched to doing the pans. If it becomes an issue as they get older, I may actually build some troughs and have them up against the fence and just feed them over the fence and do it that way. So we'll see. Right now their feed is contained by one pan each, so this will work for a little bit longer, and I'll make changes as necessary. Everybody wants out, so I'm gonna finish getting these chickens fed and let out, and then later on we'll go inside and we'll do the soup recipe. So stick around for that. All right, so I apologize for whatever background noise there's going to be, because I was thinking about waiting until Asher went for his nap. Say hi. Say hi. You see yourself? Oh? Yeah? Look. Look right there. Bah. And the sun isn't the best right now because it's coming in this window, but hopefully the exposure is okay. But I wanted to show you guys this this soup that I've made it for years and years, although I've changed it up a little bit here and there, and I'll probably change it up again, and you can change it from what I am telling you in here. Or if you guys have any ideas, I'd love to see some comments down in the comment section. If you have tried something similar to this, or if you think a particular seasoning or whatever would work well, just feel free to leave any comments. So first thing, actually the pico de gallo that's going to go on the top, and that is just basically tomatoes, red onion. If you want to, you can dice up a serrano or a jalapeno pepper if you want to have a little bit of heat in it. But then it's cilantro and a little bit of garlic and some lime juice. So we're gonna get started with that here. All right, so this is where you can use a little bit of whatever you personally like. So we'll start with the tomatoes, and usually I would use Roma tomatoes, but I happen to have some grape tomatoes here that are starting to get a little bit wrinkly. So they're still good, but I want to try to use these up as quick as possible. So rather than using the Roma tomatoes today, I'm going to use the grape tomatoes, but you can use any kind of tomato that you prefer. Okay, so leave that. Sorry, I might be talking to my son a little bit here because he's in the kitchen with me. For this right here, I would actually say make as much as you're able to do. I'm actually going to cut up the rest of these tomatoes in here, because even after using this for the soup, it actually works pretty well as just a little dip. So I'm going to cut these up, put them in a large enough Tupperware bowl so that when the onions and everything are in there, I can mix it up without having to worry about that. And this is personal preference, but I like to cut them up into relatively small pieces because this is actually going to be mixed in with the soup, but it's going to start out as a fresh topper on the soup there. So make them as small or as large as you like, but that's about the size that I like there. I'm going to go ahead and cut these up the rest of the way, and we'll be back here in... Okay, so now we've got the tomatoes all diced up. We're going to dump that into our mixing bowl, whatever that is for you. Alright, so now we've got our tomatoes in here. The next step is we'll get our red onion out. So this is a personal choice because red onions are actually really strong. I'm going to start with just a half an onion. So the size of the chop of the onion is also a personal preference. I actually like a really, really fine, almost like a minced. So I'm going to try to get that going here. Alright, so we'll put this into our tomatoes here. And then we'll go ahead and add some minced garlic here. Just whatever looks and feels good. I'm very much a feel cook. I would say probably about a heaping teaspoon or maybe even a tablespoon for this amount. Add some coarse salt. Again, this is to taste. Add some pepper. Ah! No! Keep your hands out of the trash. Add some pepper as well. Again, to taste. I'm not adding any serrano or jalapeno peppers into this, so I'll go a little bit more with the black pepper. And then I'm just going to give this a little mix here just to see what it looks like, what the consistency looks like. Break up the onions some. And then the next step is going to be, we'll take our cilantro. Okay. So I like to bunch up my herbs. I'm going to give it another pass or two with the knife. I'm going to turn this movie off if he's not watching it anyway. Okay, and we're back. So this is a nice fine chop. Get that into our mixing bowl. And then next thing is we're going to use some lime juice. If you want to squeeze fresh limes in here, feel free to do that. I like a lot of lime juice because by the time it actually goes into the soup, it's going to dissipate quite a bit. So every once in a while you might get that nice little punch of the lime juice from the salsa. And then also, if you're just having this as a dip, it's nice to have some good flavor that'll blend with your chip anyway. Alright, so here's what our pico looks like. And you don't want it swimming in juice, but there's a little bit of juice collecting down here. And that's, some of it is from the tomatoes as well. Don't necessarily have to worry about fully seasoning it right now, because what we're going to do is we're going to pop the lid on it and let it marinate for a while. It's about noon right now, the day that I'm shooting this. If you have the forethought to actually make this the day ahead of time, it's better. I like to have a full day of sitting, but 6 hours should be sufficient. So we'll just pop this in the fridge and we'll switch over to getting the actual soup started. Alright, so we're going to pick up with our chicken. So there's a couple different ways that you can do any of these soups. You can actually thaw out the meat and dice it up, cut it up however you want, cook it all together. You can cook it specifically for this soup, but generally what I do when I'm making soups is it is a second day meal. And so this chicken has already had one meal off of it, and so it's got most of the breast meat, or probably about 2/3 of the breast meat still on here. There's still one leg. Both of the thighs look like they're in here, and the wings, plus all the cooking juices, which originally I cooked this bird with 2 cups of water in the pot here, and I'm using an instant pot, and which these are really easy, but you do have to make some adjustments. So when I'm actually doing these, what I actually like to do is, especially if it's been in the fridge, I will actually cook this again, and what I'll do is I'll set this for 10 minutes on the pressure cooker just to break down all this meat a little bit more, and then I'll fish that all out. I'll debone it, tear the chicken and everything like that, and put it in there, get all the bones, cartilage and things like that out, get the skin out, and then that's going to be our base for the Mexi soup, chicken Mexi soup, chicken tortilla soup, or whatever you want to call it. So, and this was only seasoned with salt, pepper, and thyme when I cooked this chicken. So that's something to be mindful of too, to make sure whatever it is that you cooked your chicken with is going to be compatible with whatever soup you're going to use. So we're just going to pop this back in. Somebody's getting tired. It's almost nap time, so that's perfect. So I'm going to pop the lid on here. We'll set this for, let's call it 15 minutes. Stick around and we'll finish this up. I'll try to talk low enough to not wake up my son. But now that the chicken's been cooling, we've got the peppers and the onions chopped up and diced up. We've got the cans of tomatoes and beans added in there. Now all I'm going to do is just separate all the bones and cartilage and everything like that from the chicken, and as I'm throwing it in, I'm tearing it up into just small chunks of shredded chicken. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and we'll be right back. Well, I had just basically got started getting my hands all messy deboning this chicken when somebody decided they didn't want to sleep anymore. Who'd that be? Who would that be? Who'd that be? You want to look? Say hi? Say hi? Oh, you be shy? Alright. So we've got him hopefully entertained and got a snack and everything like that. So I'm going to get back to the chicken. Okay, so we've got the chicken all deboned, and be very careful because especially using this Instant Pot, it will boil down to where bones will actually become really brittle and they can break off even with you handling them, or they might even be down in the bottom already. That's why I use that strainer to try to get everything out. But you can see that there is quite a bit of chicken. This was about a half of a chicken, based on the amount of meat that was still left on the bird when we started. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to add some liquid in here and get it up to the consistency that I want it, or actually that we like it to be, which is relatively brothy. And then by the time you actually add some tortilla chips and cheese and the pico de gallo and some avocado, it's not quite as brothy. So fill this up to close to the max. So that is 8 cups total that this has had. We'll give it a stir, mix everything up. I'm gonna add a little bit of salt. I generally err on the side of not too salty. Hey little guy. Whoa. So I'm going to put this back in on pressure cook, and we'll just do it the same 10-15 minutes, and that's going to cook up our vegetables that we just added in there and incorporate the flavor. And again, I'll let that just come down to pressure or depressurize on its own, and that usually takes about 45 minutes to an hour. We're at 3 o'clock now, so it's been 3 hours since we started the pico de gallo that's in the fridge. We've got plenty of time. So once this actually is done and comes down off of temperature, will be about an hour and a half to maybe 2 hours. So we'll still have time to season it and everything like that before dinner time, which is about 6. So we've got 3 hours from this point to my projected dinner time. And I would say just adjust it to your own personal tastes. Not much pressure left. Sorry for the noise. Asher's playing with his little push behind choo-choo train. So it's been an hour. You can tell there's not a whole lot of pressure, but you need to make sure that that pressure gets relieved before I turn it off. Come here, you. Come here, you. You little stinker. Ugh. There's the noisemaker right there. So you can actually do this. You don't need an Instant Pot to make this. You can do it with any kind of slow cooker, but it just cooks a lot faster in the windows that you are cooking things. But you can just let this go. If you can tend it all day long, you can just let it go, do whatever you need to do at each interval, and over time it'll cook out. Right? High five. Yeah. All right, so for the last 45 minutes or so, I've been just tasting and adding and retasting and adding and making sure that all the flavor balances is to our liking. So this is what the soup looks like before any garnish. There we go. You can do these in any order you wish. So the first one's going to be some sort of a Mexican cheese or Fiesta cheese blend. We'll get our pico de gallo. Sour cream is optional. So for the avocado, what I like to do is dice it up in the rind here. Be careful you don't push too hard. This will come right out the back side of the skin for the avocado there. Nice little spoon that. Take a few tortilla chips, so I guess it's 5 garnishes. And there we go. Looking a little naked. Let's put a little bit more cheese on top there. There we go. That looks a little better. Like I said, you can put the garnish in whatever order looks most appealing to you. So that's it. If you guys like this video, please give us a thumbs up. Leave some comments in the comment section. If you tried it, please let us know what you think. Appreciate, give us a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to our channel. Click the bell notification so that you're notified when we have new content coming out, and as always, thanks for joining us, and God bless.